Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Sunday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios inside the bunker, undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey, and cross half continent to the land of winning Bears. The Bears. It's Vinnie Parise of pucksandpitchforks.com, the Hockey News, USA Today, all sorts of publications. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. It's Game 45. The Devils take on the WJs, the Winnipeg Jets, today, 2 p.m. Eastern start. It is a big game for a variety of reasons. Every game's always a big game. We always say that on this podcast, but this one is a little different because the Devils have made changes on their roster. Tremendous amount of news coming out yesterday, but headlining the Dougie Hamilton drama. It's in full force right now. I wouldn't say drama. I shouldn't say that. It's nothing on Dougie. It's just, well, in my opinion, Vinny, it's just the way the business is.
It is just the way the business is. I mean, you sign guys to long-term contracts. That's the possibility of the back half of it. Kovacevic and Dadonov are going to return today. Dougie Hamilton is not going to play. They're actively seeking a trade. He blocked a trade to the San Jose Sharks last summer, we learned yesterday. That was kind of dumb. He would have got to play on the Sharks. That seems fun. And the Devils probably would have gotten a trade for Quinn Hughes done. I think everybody would have been a winner had he not blocked that. But that's
I would look at it differently, Vinny, because hindsight's 2020. You're playing Monday morning quarterback, and I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, but I kind of do. Looking at it for hindsight's 2020, if you look at the time,
that is true. That is true.
Look at that time in the summer. Dougie didn't have a bad season last year coming off of that pec injury. The San Jose Sharks couldn't beat any team except for the New Jersey Devils for whatever reason last season. Macklin Celebrini, who would have ever thought that he would turn out to be the stud that he is, like Connor Bedard. Having to uproot your family. When Dougie Hamilton came to New Jersey, he was sold a bill of goods that we want you here. We'll give you $9 million for 7 years. And he bought in. And that initial conversation, if he blocked it, I don't blame him. But at the same time, this whole Quinn Hughes things really amplifies everything. And, again, if anything, it's probably the lack of execution from Fitzgerald's end because, again, if that didn't work, what was your plan B if you couldn't move Dougie Hamilton? That's all I'm saying. So I don't want to be all on Dougie because I actually like Dougie.
No, I love Dougie, and I think he's better than some of the people think. He's not producing offense at the rate that we're used to seeing from him, but he's gone through these dry spells before in his career, even back in the day when he was on the Hurricanes, like being nominated for Norris trophies and stuff. It happens. He's not a terrible player by any means. I think right now it's probably more of just looking to change things up because of how puny the team has been in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And, there's all sorts of issues. They have to find a way to beat the Winnipeg Jets today because if they don't and they play the Minnesota Wild tomorrow in Minnesota, it's going to be tough. I mean, that team is stacked. Now they have Quinn. They already had Faber, who was the young guy on a, defense with Brodin and Spurgeon. Well, we'll get into the Wild tomorrow, but you got to take care of business today against the Jets, who are looking like one of the worst teams in the NHL after winning the President's Trophy last year. So they're vulnerable. This is your chance if you're the Devils.
Yeah, it's your chance. Again, there is nothing in the past 2 weeks that makes me hopeful about this game, not to be negative. Inserting Kovacevic into the lineup, like, okay, you got your salary cap situation figured out temporarily. You got lucky with Nason, willing to have that surgery on his knee and going to be on LTIR. But where was that about a month ago? Again, I think it's almost Fitzy's new nickname is too late. It's just too late, little too late, Fitzy, because now he decides to have surgery, and then sending down Cholowski, and but inserting Kovacevic in the lineup, I don't think it's going to be a game changer, a difference maker. It will help, but it's still the same team. It's still the same team. And it's not all on Dougie Hamilton here. There's a lot of players that need to step up.
100%. And, Jack Hughes hasn't been bad by any means. He's coming back from that injury. You could tell the shooting isn't the same as it was before cutting his hand. He's still able to make plays and be dynamic and skate well, and he's a threat, but you need more from everyone else. Bratt has had a bad goal scoring year. He's had a fine playmaking year, but he's had a bad goal scoring year. Heischer's off the pace a little bit offensively. I would love to see him just say, you know what, I'm not winning the Selke trophy this year. Let's go score some goals because this team is offensively challenged. I know it's not in his DNA, but it'd be interesting to see him make that adjustment, knowing with the circumstance of the season. You can win your Selke trophy in future years, Nico. Right now, the team needs goals. They need goals, and they need goals bad. Goaltending, putrid. Not Dougie Hamilton's fault. I mean, they gave up 9 goals to the Islanders early in the week. Everything needs a change of mindset, an overhaul, whatever word you want to use. The Jets have an elite goalie with Connor Hellebuck. I have not confirmed that he's starting, but I would assume so. They have Scheifele and Connor and a bunch of good players who are awesome, but they really took a tumble from where they were last year. But the thing is, the Devils always struggle. Even when the Devils were good, their bugaboo has been the Jets in a lot of games so far in the last handful of years. I remember that 22-23 season where they made it to the playoffs and beat the Rangers. That awesome year. That year rocked. That year really rocked.
Yeah.
Doing Game Day Live that year was – I love doing it all the time, but every single game that year was they can win this thing. And I remember the one game they came this close. They didn't get shut out once that year, but the Jets had them in Winnipeg. I think they were smoking them 5-0, and I think it was Nico scored with 10 seconds left in the game to keep their not being shut out streak alive, and it lasted the whole season. Even in that great year, the Devils were so awesome, and they were struggling against the Jets. So hopefully that's something they're able to figure out today, because I think a win here wouldn't stop the bleeding, but it would start to rub a towel on the bleeding a little bit. I don't know.
I think it gives us a little bit of a reset of a mindset, at least at the very least. Thank you, Dagfer Hansen, for the super chat. For the love of all that's holy, at least put a devil sticker or a centerfold on your wall. Well, thank you for the super chat, Dagfer Hansen. Dubs is I'm rooting for Kovacevic, but remember who he is. Pretty much a career 7th D-man who got time due to injury and had a good 50 games or so. Fitz rewarded him with a stupid contract, never got it. I couldn't agree with him more. I mean, towards the end of last season, he was pretty shaky. I thought he was pretty shaky. So, having him in the lineup and sitting Dougie out, I think that might be a subtraction, to be honest with you. Again, Dougie's not having a great season, but I just honestly, given that what we know, do you blame him? Do you blame him when you took a chance on a franchise after, Boston, kind of threw you away, and then Calgary, and then Carolina lowballed you, and then finally you're in an organization you're comfortable with, and then they tell you, hey, we need to trade you, and then we're going to throw you to a bottom feeder team at the time. He's not interested in a rebuild. So you kind of understand his point of view, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Kovacevic is not going to solve your problems. He might help, but I'm not putting too much stock on it.
No, me either. Something was up with him last year at the end of the season. He was pretty good the first half, maybe even the first three quarters. I thought Kovacevic was a solid defensive presence on the blue line. I don't know if it's worth at the hands of Dougie, but if they're actively trying to trade Dougie and he's not going to be on this team by this time next week, then I understand it. But like you said, he's kind of just continued to get the low end of the stick everywhere he goes. Every single team he's been on like gives up on him at one point or another. Carolina wanted him back, I think. That's the only team that I think really always loved themselves their Dougie. They traded for him. They knew they weren't, going to be able to keep, or they want. I think they got Fox in that trade. I think, right, or they gave up Fox. Something to do. I don't remember exactly how it all went down because the Rangers ended up with him anyway because that's where he wanted to go. But Dougie's been a good player in his NHL career. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's been an above average offensive defenseman basically his entire career, and you can probably look at the state of the team as his biggest issue right now more than his actual play individually.
Agreed. And I think he's more of a salary cap casualty. Unfortunately, that's part of the business. And, there's probably, when you have Quinn Hughes on the table. And then, the other thing, too, is signing Luke Hughes to that $9 million 7-year deal as well. Again, how does one get a contract like that in his third full season in the NHL? And, again, I don't know. I'm not very familiar with the NHL rule book, but you remember when Luke Hughes first signed that entry-level contract coming out of Michigan. That was his 1-year eligibility where he played 2 regular season games in the playoffs. It would be nice if he was signing that big deal after the season. And I think that's where it got messed up, to be honest. Not on Dougie in terms of cap space.
100%. 100%. That's a good point. I mean, man, there are a lot of things. I don't think it's so far gone that it can't be fixed. I'm not sure if Tom Fitzgerald's going to be the one to do it. But you have like a core in place. So figure it out. If you're going to trade Dougie, use that cap space somewhere. Please don't just sit on your hands. You have the potential to do something here. Do it. It's not going to be this season, though.
It all depends what ownership is thinking, how they value the Quinn brothers. If they really, it all depends really if hockey operations and ownership, do they want Quinn Hughes on this team and have the 3 brothers on, because they got to, it's about making money. That's what it is, Could Fitzgerald not be here by that time when Quinn Hughes is negotiating an extension by July 1st with Minnesota? I believe he can negotiate that extension starting July 1st with Bill Guerin.
Yep, July 1st.
If Fitzgerald's not here then, depending upon who they would hire, I think that may determine Quinn Hughes. Does he really want to go to New Jersey or not? Because his brothers are locked up. And we heard the disparaging remarks about Fitzgerald not having enough guts to make the deal happen.
Yeah, I think we'll learn pretty quickly about Quinn's long-term expectations in Minnesota. I think we'll learn about that quickly. If he's not signed by, I'll say August, I'll give Bill Guerin July. If he's not re-signed by August and you start feeling, maybe even by the end of August, and you start feeling that chill in the air again a little bit. You wake up that one day and it's 60 when you expected it to be 80. That always happens every year. Maybe that's just an Illinois thing. They like, if that's not done by then I think the pressure then flips back onto the team that has Quinn Hughes. There was like Vancouver for a while. Now it's the Devils. If the Quinn isn't done by the end of August, then it starts to be like, well, what is Bill Guerin going to do? Is he going to ride out Quinn Hughes? Is he going to be a trade rental for them this season? Is he going to trade him off now? Is he going to sign an extent? There's going to be a lot of noise around that negatively for the Wild if he's not extended by the end of August, because they gave up a lot to get him. So would they try to recoup some of that back? I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily possible with it being 1 year rather than 2. But the Devils are in an interesting spot because they can try and take advantage of that, but they're going to have to make a lot of money work.
Yeah, and trading Dougie Hamilton will do that. Now, there's a couple comments in the YouTube live. Serve says, I don't know why fans had this fairy tale that three brothers will lead to a cup. I don't think fans do. I think more of fans are more, Quinn Hughes is a great player.
He's better than a great player.
The three brother thing is more from the media, to be honest with you, and more from the Hughes family. Who wouldn't want to have, playing with your brothers? I think where the dynamics, we can kind of see the dynamics change, I think I'm going to be really, really observing the Olympics, Vinny, because you have Bill Guerin, you have Quinn Hughes, and you have Jack Hughes. Luke is off the roster. I'm interested to see how they perform. Do they perform well? Jack Hughes I wouldn't say he had a tough time at Four Nations. I just think what I've witnessed at Four Nations, you're going against the best of the best of the best of the best. You're talking about one game, during the finals, and all the other games.
He did play wing. He played wing on a checking line.
Yeah.
Nations.
So let's go easy on Jack there. But I can assure you he skated with the rest of them. But I think that was the first time in Jack's career that he was going against competition that was equally or better than his speed. And I think when Jack Hughes came back, those couple games before he got hurt and his season ended, he was like 2 strides ahead of everybody. Because I even said on Game Day Live and the podcast last season that he was in a different he had a different gear that we've never seen before. He was so fast. If you look at some of those games. So, but anything can happen at this point. But Fitzy's got to right the ship here, because I don't think Quinn wants to go to a dysfunctional organization locker room. And if it is dysfunctional, do you trade the Hughes brothers over to Minnesota to fulfill their wishes? So you got that angle. So it could go either way. But for now, you got a game today that you got to win, and if they don't, it's going to be a long plane trip to Minnesota, to Minneapolis tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully they're able to, figure it out today, because you can really at this point only take it one day at a time, and the Jets are in a bad way. So if the Devils can go on and find a way to get 2 points today, that will, like you said, kind of set a reset and give them a belief that they can compete tomorrow. Yeah. If they go into tomorrow on a 3-game losing streak, that would be tough.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, so let's get everybody's predictions in the YouTube Live and Instagram Live. We've been reading off a lot of comments from the YouTube Live. I see those on the Instagram Live. Instagram Live is starting to get a little popular. Getting A lot of
Love
comments on the Woo Report and Morning Woo yesterday, especially after some of the news that were coming out from Elliot Friedman and Pierre LeBrun yesterday, Amanda Stein, Novozinski and Nichols and all that. But Vinny, what do you think happening today? What's your prediction?
3-2 Devils in Winnipeg.
So you think they're going to win?
I hope they're going to win.
Okay.
I'm in a hopeful mood.
Okay. Well,
I had a
after
good
watching the Bears yesterday, Well,
Why not us?
I told you off air. You want to talk about beefalitics and determination? I was telling you off air about Caleb Williams, Bears quarterback. They're down 21-3. We talk about in this podcast, like, not to get discouraged. It's like that, in Rocky III, the eye of the tiger. He had that look. There's a certain look of determination. I told you, Sidney Crosby had that look. Mark Messier had that look. They called it the Messier stare.
Yep.
As I hate to admit it, he had that stare where you're like, okay, this guy means business. And Caleb Williams had that stare. And for the New Jersey Devils, who has that stare? Who has that look? When you're down, that it's not a pissed off look. It's more of urgency, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get things done because, we're not where we need to be, and I'm fed up with it. And I wish the Devils had that. They don't. We don't see that. We see Nico with that example. Oftentimes, Nico looks like he's hunched over and he's in pain when you look at him on the ice. Body language, it rubs off on other people. I thought their sports psychologist that they hired, this guru, this PhD, would have taught him that. But, I don't know. I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, aren't they supposed to be mentally tough, in these situations? I don't know. But
I'm with you.
So you're saying 3-2? Yep,
3-2 Devils.
I'm gonna say, do we even know who's starting in net? Is it Markstrom?
I could confirm it really quick.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind confirming that, because that's gonna alter my prediction. Ted says Caleb Williams.
Jake Allen. Jake Allen.
Ooh, so they really want to get this win.
Yep, you'll see Markstrom against one of his, I guess both of his Swedish netminder teammates tomorrow. So
I'm going 5-2 Jets.
Damn.
5-2 Jets. Not a reverse psychology. They're playing in their home building. It's a matinee game. Devils don't really do well with matinee games for whatever reason. So, and they're on the road. They're in the middle of Canada right now. I don't care about their record because look at the Devils' track record in the last 3 games. I don't think Kovacevic is going to make a difference, to be honest. And, Stefan Nason's out. Chalowski, was put on waivers. McEwen is out for the season. All that, it still doesn't make a difference. Dougie Hamilton sits. It doesn't make a difference. He shouldn't be the fall guy. But I think Jake Allen will keep them in it, but I think they're going to lose 5-2.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's tough. Tough times.
Yeah. Let's
There's
get
football
to
to watch today, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of people saying Dub Bears. And then Ted says Mrs. Parise is stoked about Dub Bears. Which one, though? That's a good question. Which Mrs. Parise? There's many of them. 4-2 Jets, says Maddie. Mike Rosenzweig, 3-2 Devils. 3-0 Jets, says Dubs like. Wimpy says 4-0 Jets. Stanley says 4-0 Jets. Devils 4-1, says Michael Cambria. Jay Snow says 5-1 Jets. Lupus Not Is says 4-1 Devils. Jack with 2 or 3 points. Devils Heaven. Oh, I just skipped around here. My 4-2 Devs. Devils in the Sky says 4-2 Jets. 1-0 overtime. Nemec with the goal. All is well, says Michael Hay. That's a positive one. Max says Jets break their cold streak, 6-1 Winnipeg. Eddie says 3-1 Jets. Jason O says Jordan Love sucks. 4-2 New Jersey. Palat with the empty netter. Hamilton will be doing the Dougie in the press box. Rachel, I'm not going to say that stuff. 4-3 Devils says select the boy. Why not? So it's a mixture of predictions. Christopher P says 13-0 Devils, and then also saying that I'm actually picking Devils to lose nowadays.
It's sad. I mean, it definitely feels like it's getting shades of that 2022 season, 2021-22. They ended up picking second overall.
Yeah.
It's tough. We're out here thinking about picking the other team. It's tough.
Yep. Very tough. All right. I want to thank all those tuning in. Vinnie, thank you so much to be coming on to your own podcast with all that positivity and hopefulness. But I'll tell you, I'm not. And after doing the Woo report yesterday, morning Woo, it's tough to be positive. It's tough to be, but we need that balance on this Game Day Live, don't we?
Yep. I mean, if they get smoked today, I don't know how much it's going to last. So we'll see.
Tomorrow's Game Day Live will be awfully interesting, to say the least. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to get out of here. Dropping the podcast in about 10, 20 minutes. We'll have Devils After Dark after the game and the Sunday edition of the Let's Go Devils podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's a quadruple header Sunday. Hopefully the Devils will pull one out. Till next time, let's go Devils.